The Tribal Health and Human Services Department of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes is proud to present Good Medicine, a program dedicated to the wellness of the Flathead Nation. The mission is summarized quite simply: a healthier people, a stronger nation. We will strive to make Good Medicine a reliable source of ideas and information about health issues so that everyone can make informed decisions about their own lifestyle and health care. You will meet health professionals, tribal government and spiritual leaders, and interesting people from the tribal community discussing important health issues that profoundly affect us all.
Hello, this is Good Medicine. I'm your host, Larry Pitts, and today we have with me is my special friend and guest is Mr. Frank Tyro. Frank, I want to thank you for coming aboard today. And for you out there in TV land who don't really know who Frank Tyro is, he is the Media Public TV Director from KSKC here live from downtown Pablo, Montana with the TV station.
And you know how hard it is to get me on this side of the camera.
Well, it's only the second time.
You're pretty lucky.
That's right. And that's a little scary, actually. So, you know, what is KSKC? I mean, why don't you tell me sort of the beginnings of the TV station here, what it's all about, and tell me a little history, would you think?
Well, actually, it's got some very interesting history that really should be written up at some point. But in actuality, the first application for a TV station to be run by the college was made in 1981 by Mickey O'Donnell. And Mickey had a vision of a facility that would provide local programming, a local voice for the people. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the application came at a time when they first opened up this new, at that time, new type of broadcasting called low power television. And SKC has the dubious honor of being the first station that was denied because they got swamped with so many applications that they finally, they just said, oh, well, we've got to chop it off. We can't deal with all of this backlog. So Salish Kootenai College was the first one who was notified that theirs was where, that was where the cutoff was going to be.
Wow.
So it kind of withered on the vine for a few years, and then in 1984, when I was hired here at the college, we looked at that idea in 1985 and then made an application in 86. Initially it was put on hold. We were asked to reapply because of some frequency issues. We took another look at it, reapplied, and it was granted in 87. And in 1988, on April 15th, we fired up the Ronan transmitter. Mm-hmm. I think a day or two later, we turned on the St. Ignatius transmitter, and so that's where we started. In 1990, we added a transmitter up on Jetty, which serves the Polson area, Polson, Elmo, Flathead Lake. Mm-hmm. And then in 1993 into 94, we put a transmitter on in Pistol Creek, which serves primarily the Arlee area. Mm-hmm. And that system is actually solar powered, which is somewhat unique. Mm-hmm. So that's where it started. And of course, the college is a nonprofit, 501c3 IRS designation. And the college is the licensee. That is, the licenses for the transmitting facilities are all in the name of the college, which is a public nonprofit. Mm-hmm.
And for those out there trying to figure out what that means, it means that if you would like to send us a check, right, to for stamp marked for the station, it's mm-hmm. tax deductible.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and when we're talking about that, this last month, December, you just had your annual fundraiser drive, mm-hmm. and How'd that go, and what's the process on that?
Well, it went very well because we don't get any state or federal funds for operation of the station. It has to be raised, locally. In December of every year, we do a fund drive, and I'm sure most of the viewers have seen at least portions of that.
Or heard it.
And that's also has a bit of a fun history in that in 1988, the first year that we were on the air, we decided to do a fund drive similar to what we do now, except that we didn't know how to do it. And so we started out by, we had two people who were kind of our hosts on the air, Bob Foudy and Mickey O'Donnell. And they were very serious and just, making their pleas for people to call in and donate and so on and so forth, and nothing was happening. So we played a program back to kind of fill some time, and Mickey went over to his office and brought back some Groucho glasses, a rubber chicken, and some golf balls, and started doing really stupid things, with rubber chicken and golf balls. And
Well, I took off creative things.
Right. And pretty soon the phone started ringing, and so we've been doing it, pretty much that way ever since. We don't take it too seriously. Obviously, we need help. This year so far, we've raised over $20,000. $9,700 of that was through the auction, which was held on Thursday, December 4th. And the auction has become our one of our big ways that we raise money in the local community. Also through underwriting, and that's the program sponsorship that sponsors certain programs. Now, I should make sure to qualify this by saying we have over $20,000, but it takes about $60,000 to run the station.
Right.
And that money primarily is used for the programming. That is, we don't get the programs for free. We have to pay PBS for them. Because we're so small and we can't really afford to have somebody here watching the station every minute that we're on the air.
Right.
We are part of a nonprofit, again, consortium of stations that provides that service to us. It's called RTS, Rural Television Service. And we have to pay for that. Now, if we had to hire, staff people to be here all of the time, it would cost us probably at least 10 times as much as we pay for that service. But the donations that do come in, none of them are used for salaries. The salaries are covered by the college, and so no money goes towards salaries. It's all toward real hard costs that we have to take care of. The biggest problem right now is that our equipment is 17, 18 years old, and it's requiring more and more service. It's requiring upgrades. The original equipment that we purchased through a grant, primarily through a grant, you have a 20-year-old TV set, usually they're a little bit outdated. And so we've been able to kind of keep up with things, but it's a continuing struggle to keep everything running and so on. Again, maybe I should mention a little bit of the history. The initial monies which were gathered to put the station together was from a grant from a Department of Commerce grant which paid for 75% of the cost. We had to raise the other 25%, which at that time, to start the station and put the first 2 transmitters on the air was approximately $200,000. It was 198 something or other. So we had to raise almost $50,000 in the local community to match the federal money before it became available. And we were able to do that with the help of some very wonderful business people, the tribe, the college, and so on. So we were, very happy to be able to do that. But then, the year-to-year costs, we still have to find ways to raise that money.
So what you're sort of telling me is that wheelbarrow I saw up there at the entryway, you don't use that whenever you need money, you wheel it across the street to the tribe and pick up money, right?
Well, that's what some people seem to think, but the reality is that the tribe does help us very much. They've helped us throughout the years, but there are no blank checks around here. And The amount of money that it costs to run this station, if you really think about it, the budget for KUSM, KUFM from Bozeman, Missoula is in the multi-million-dollar range. Obviously, they're covering a larger area, but it's really, I mean, if you really think about it, the ability to operate a television station, not just a station, but 4 transmitters, plus all of the costs of providing the programming, at $60,000 a year, that is really hardly anything. So again, we need support from the community. The community has been just wonderful in helping us out, business community and underwriting, individuals and people who contribute things for the auction and then buy those things. It is a great. It's a great thing that a community this small can do that.
Right.
But we still need to continue working on things to help.
Always need more.
Yeah.
Well, and you had mentioned earlier, though, you said, about grants. So can't you out and get a grant for operations?
Actually not. You really can't.
Okay.
It's funny. It's easy to get money. It's generally easy to get money to build things or to buy equipment. But then the day-to-day operational costs, there's hardly anybody who gives money for that, because if you think about it, well, if you can't support it in the local community after it's built, that doesn't say too much for the need for whatever that is, a TV station in the community. And so there really aren't monies for that type of thing. Again, there are monies that have become available over the years for equipment upgrades and things like that. However, unfortunately, that Department of Commerce program which I spoke about has been defunded. It used to provide competitive grants to all public radio and television stations. The monies varied from 12 or 15 million. I think one year it was as high as $30 million, but that's spread out over the entire United States. That money isn't available. And so there was another fund which came through another program to help many of the stations convert to digital, which is something we'll talk about here in a little bit. But that money is not available to us because we're not a member of that particular consortium, and we can't really be. So it's it's a challenge, and obviously if people in the community want it, they're going to support it. We just have to figure out ways to keep things going.
Well, so what we've just been talking about is, if you have extra money, you've got inheritance, you can send it in, we'll accept that.
Oh yeah.
And that's how nonprofits work. And now let's switch gears here a little bit, and what I want to talk about now is what is new around here. I mean,
well, we've
new happenings.
Yeah, we've, as I mentioned, been able to keep equipment upgraded somewhat. The camera that you see us on right now is 16, 17 years old, and in technology terms, it's not the newest, greatest thing off the block. We would love to have new studio cameras, but there are other things that we need
they'll make
more.
Them look better, right?
Yeah, take all your wrinkles.
There we go. That a makeup artist.
Right. But there are other things that we need more desperately, and these work okay. I mean, they're not the most wonderful thing in the world, but they're okay. The biggest problem right now is just that our equipment is all 16, 17 years old on the transmission end. And so that's been beginning to cause us some problems, and so we need to be thinking about that and looking forward to what we call the digital transition, which is something that unfortunately we don't have a choice. The Federal Communications Commission decided a number of years ago that the system that we're currently using for broadcast of television is going to go away. It's not going to be here anymore. And that means that every television station in America doesn't have a choice, has to,
right.
But there's no money for that transition generally, has to convert to digital transmission.
You got to make a change. We don't know how you're going to do it, but you got to meet these guidelines.
And we currently don't really even have a way for that to happen. Now that is changing. There's currently, before the Federal Communications Commission, a rulemaking which is going to hopefully provide us with a possible avenue to make that transition easier. But that's just in the paperwork end of it. It's still, there's still no money to help us to do that. The fortunate thing is that, you know, things that are new and better are very expensive initially, but they get cheaper. And so if we kind of look at this in the long term, we could probably say that we could rebuild ourselves with a digital facility for about the same amount of money that we built originally. Now, 3 or 4 years ago, it was about 5 times as much. And probably by next year, it'll be a little cheaper. You know, as that technology, you know, the initial high cost barrier and the number of units and so on decreases, pretty soon the cost is really fairly reasonable. We can buy a digital transmitter for the same price we paid for an analog one, you know, 15 years ago. So it's becoming affordable. But again, we are really, you know, trying to look at some different ways of raising that money, because the college simply doesn't have it. The tribe doesn't have that kind of money either. That's just floating around, you know, waiting for somebody to ask for. So.
But there might be an individual out there.
Yeah, and you know, we are hopeful that, you know, some people might think about that in their wills or such, and Bearhead Swaney, win that lottery, because I know you told us you'd give us a big chunk if you won the lottery.
There you go. There you go. Well, Frank, we're well way over halfway done with our program, so we're going to take a quick PSA break here with Chef Graham Kerr. So, viewing audience, don't go away, and I hope you learn a lot about healthy living through your diet. So, watch this, and we'll be back with Frank right after this PSA.
Hello, here's some more fruit and vegetable news you can really enjoy. This power pantry idea will help you build your supply of instant meals, especially at that moment when you really need inspiration in the kitchen. You know, I've been shopping in a couple of aisles over in the beans section in this market, and I've picked up quite a fantastic selection. You could try the Great Northern beans for soups and some pasta dishes, and then the black turtle beans for Caribbean or South American dishes. Pinto beans, we know about those, don't we? Mexican and Tex-Mex foods. And then there's vegetarian baked beans. That's for a side dish that's low in saturated fat. Now, look for cans that are really low in sodium, and just keep it simple. These will save you hours in the kitchen and provide a foundation for a healthy meal in minutes. And, oh, by the way, just a half a cup is 1 serving, and beans are a great source of protein and fiber. So go on, do yourself a flavor and enjoy your 5 or more servings of fruit and vegetables every day. Oh, marvelous.
And we're back from that short PSA with Chef Graham Kerr. I hope you learned a lot about about healthy living through your diet. And we want to thank the Flathead Diabetic Project for providing that each week. And I want to thank the hair shrink down in Ronan for my haircut. Jim, thank you. I need a new one. All right, we're with Frank Tyro, and we've been talking about the KSKC, the new digital equipment that's coming about. The environment's really changing. Let's talk a little bit more in that direction.
Yeah, and it's something that's, you know, that's happened over a relatively short period of time, but something that I used to joke with my students 10 or 15 years ago when cable was really just starting to, you know, roll with all these new channels, that someday there was going to be a pocket billiards channel. Well, I mean, there may be one now, because we've got home and garden television, we've got do-it-yourself network, we have a golf channel. I mean, if golf is there, you know, can billiards be far behind?
I just watched the World Championship in poker before I came down here.
Yeah. So anyway, what it's doing, though, is that it's splitting the audience. And so everyone has a niche, and everyone has, hopefully, something that they want to watch. Whereas when I was growing up, there were 3 networks. And if it wasn't on the 3 networks, you didn't see it. And now we're looking at the possibility of internet streaming of content, not in a little tiny box in one corner of your monitor, but actually the whole monitor, you know, very good quality. So things are changing, and what it's doing is it really is impacting over-the-air television to a large extent. And what I mean by that is that there are fewer and fewer people watching television from an off-air antenna. Now, the biggest expense for us is transmitters. And a friend of mine who was a manager of a TV station told me quite a number of years ago that they weren't going to be investing in their transmitters. They were going to try to keep them bubble gum and baling wire wrapped together until they didn't need them anymore. And I kind of thought, boy, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but I think it is. That now we have the Dish Network delivering local channels on satellite, obviously the cable system bringing in signals, and pretty soon, you know, probably rural areas are going to be the last, but sooner or later the need for an over-the-air transmitter may have gone away. And so that makes it very difficult for us too to think about, well, do we want to invest this money? But yet we have to if we're going to stay in business. So we want to do it the most economical way we can. So again, this whole new environment of getting entertainment from so many different sources and having so many different, you know, options. The thing that we try to do, that we have to, I think, focus on is localism. That is, this program is not going to be broadcast in New York City. Hate to tell you that, Larry, but nor is it probably even going to have the same audience in Bozeman, Montana. So what we have to do is what we hopefully can do best, and that is to bring very local things to this local community. That's the only way we're going to survive. Because it may be possible that you can get everything else that you want can come from these other places, but economically, that's why this is a nonprofit. You know, the types of things that we broadcast, people probably wouldn't pay an awful lot for. Hopefully, through their contributions, they will help us out, because we believe that public television, PBS, and many of the other programs that we get from other sources are really some of the best programs in the world. Obviously, there's some great stuff on Discovery and HGTV and some of the networks, but you know, this is what we do, and we need not only support financially, but we need support from people who have an interest. We've made this plea before and not had a lot of response, that there are people in the community who have an idea for a program and want to spend, you know, a few hours, you know, working on that. We really would like to hear from you. So again, hopefully people can see the value of that. The other thing is that we've tried to branch out in other ways to help raise money, and that bottle of water in front of me right now, or in front of you, is one of the ways. That doesn't bring in a lot of money, but it brings in a couple $1,000s a year through the sales of Mission Mountain Mist. We're trying to find other little ways that we can help, you know, just make things, make ends meet. And
do the little things right, make the big things happen.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, what would you like to see here for a future?
Well, obviously, I'd like to see the station on a sound financial footing that allows us to keep equipment up. I mean, there are certain things that we just don't have any choice. I mean, if a piece of equipment that's essential breaks down, we have to fix it. Right now, we have a couple of transmitters that are acting kind of funny, and because of many other things that are happening, I just haven't had the time to get those, you know, done. But those are things that have to happen. Just another example: the transmitting tubes, the tube that we use in the transmitters that we have used to cost $300. Because there's less and less of those transmitters, there's less being manufactured, those tubes now are up around $800. And each one of our transmitters, we can make those last a lot longer than they're supposed to. They're supposed to have a life of expectancy of about 1.5 years to 2 years. We have several that we've run for 5 or 6 years by operating conservatively. But again, those are things that we just don't have any choice over. We can't just leave a transmitter off or we don't have an audience. So, but in addition to that, again, we're looking for ways to make this transition to digital, and that's going to require, I think, some creative thinking. PBS is looking at an entirely different way of distributing programs. Right now, programs come down off the satellite in real time. Mm-hmm. They're looking at, within 2 years, doing what's called IP over satellite, which means that a 1-hour program may come down off satellite in 15 minutes. It's just a bunch of bits that gets reassembled into a program. And that means, again, new equipment, other ways of thinking, other ways to, even just to get the PBS signal. Mm-hmm. Because the satellite time is so expensive. Running 5 or 6 streams in real time is not an efficient way to do that. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. Obviously, other ways to support the station. Mm-hmm. We'd love to find some other ways that we can entertain and support the community by bringing in other types of activities. We don't know yet what those are. We've tried concerts, we've tried some other things, and we need to, I think, settle on a few things and try to decide how to best do that and to, do things that the community likes. I really truly believe the community does like what we do, and I think they love the auction. I mean, I love getting in there and bidding, and if you were watching and you heard camera one, that was somebody bidding for me, because I spent a lot of money at that auction too, because there were some things that I really wanted. Right. And so again, we're just trying to find different ways to be able to manage and to operate in the future. And I do need to say one other thing. This station is not me. Mm-hmm. That Roy Big Crane, who is in the back room right now, is actually a bigger part of the station than I am. Mm-hmm. I just happen to be the one who was here and kind of got things rolling, and Roy has been right hand and left hand man for me for a long time.
It's that Dixon connection.
Yeah, I guess so.
You can say Dixon. All right. So what can an individual do out there who's watching this? How can they help you?
Well, again, we need your contributions as much as you can. If you have ideas, please feel free to get a hold of us. If there are things that you can do to help us as far as programming, maybe you have an interest in something that we can work together to do a program. I would love to be able to broadcast all of the city council meetings from all over the area here, sports activities, those kinds of things, but we can't go out there and do that all ourselves. Right. Roy and I both put in, a little over our 40 hours every week, and there are times when we do go out and do things in the evening, and we do it as much as we can, but, Roy may be Superman, but I'm not. So that's what we need, is a lot of help and support from the community.
All right. Well, I guess we're done with the program. We're right at the end. And
you don't have time for your last question.
I have no time for the last question, except my question is, why does Roy B. Crane have that tattoo of a big S right on his chest, since he is Superman himself? Well, for the viewing audience, I want to thank you for watching today. And this is Larry Pitts from Big Medicine saying have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Good Medicine is your program. We hope you watch this and subsequent programs to stay informed about your health care. And we'd like to hear from you about how we're doing. Please direct any comments or suggestions you have to us. You can reach us at